Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're checking out something called Dropblocks by a developer named Dr. Broccoli, and you can go ahead and get that laugh out of your system right now. I know you're thinking about it. So this is the first game in a small sub-series of the LD26 coverage that I was intending to do. You'll notice, well, if you're watching this at the time, that it was just put up. This is going to be, day 4 or 5? Maybe 6, I don't know. I probably should have checked that beforehand. It's early in the still judging phase of the LD26 competition, whose theme this time is minimalism. And as you can see here, we've got a staggering variety of different cubes on display. And I figured, what better way to kick us off to a new LD competition other than, look at some cubes. And if you're not familiar with that competition, what that is people get together from all over the world and design games in 48 hours and then put them up on the website, and everybody goes and takes a look, and then judging commences, and then, winners are declared. It's a real good time, produces usually thousands of games. I'm probably not going to be covering more than maybe 7 to 10 of them if I'm lucky, depending on how things go. But yeah, this is going to be the first. So let's jump into things now that I've already been wandering around for quite a while here. I am playing as this blue kind of navy cube, and you'll probably wonder what the point of this game is. Well, I've been collecting these little yellow boxes, and what those allow me to do is actually, by holding spacebar, I can chop parts of this level off. Now, if I can do that in an appropriate spot, I can actually cause large chunks of the level to disappear, oftentimes with me on them. That's fine. I wasn't really intending on trying to get a high score here, but I did just want to show you how the game convention works. So we're going to be picking up these yellow, or rather reddish cubes to be extending our timer, and then the yellowish ones are ammo. And ammo, really all that means is we just have the ability to cut more cubes. You'll see in the top left corner we do have a UI readout for that. And basically the goal here is just to cut up as much of the level as possible and not run out of time, so go for the high score and see how much you can improve. It does appear to me that this game might be either procedurally or randomly generated, or perhaps I'm reappearing in some sort of a very large level that I haven't seen all of. But every time I've started, it seems like a slightly different scenario, so I think that's pretty cool. You'll notice, of course, there are these green turrets firing off in every direction. You also need to avoid those. And then we've got these blue anchor bricks, which are the bits that hold up parts of the level. So if you cut around those, you're not going to make any difference because that anchor is still going to be holding up the level. So I should probably get to doing some cutting. And depending on where I do it, I'll have mixed results. It's generally not super wise to cut through the middle of a giant open expanse like this. You probably don't want to do that. And you definitely want to try and make sure you have somewhere to go to after you do whatever cutting you're about to do. Otherwise, as you saw before, you will just end up falling off the level. So my experiences with this game so far, generally pretty favorable. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking premise, and well, pretty cool looking aesthetically as well. I'm a pretty big fan of cubes in general, and especially I really like that flickery kind of fadey effect of all the lighting going on them, and then they've got these twisting cubes in the background. I mean, granted, they're all kind of intersecting, so it's not really probably the nicest thing, but at the same time, it's just sort of backdrop. And always keep in mind, whatever criticisms I have, these games were designed in 2 days or less, so that's pretty freaking good. Anyway, as far as the gameplay concept, I mean, it's a little bare. I mean, I would have probably liked if the controls were a little bit more refined. I would have probably liked to see maybe mouse control would have made sense, because I don't know, for some reason I have trouble getting behind the idea of holding down spacebar to do the cutting. And also, I'm just pretty bad at this in the first place. I also haven't been super concentrating anyway. But really, the concept just revolves around trying to go as far as you can, avoiding all these thousands of bullets, and just keep cutting away at the level. And I know that sounds super simple, but when you consider how much is going on at any given moment, I mean, you're avoiding stuff, you're trying to plan out strategically where you need to go, you're trying to make the best of finding a path through the level, and picking up timer bonuses, and all this stuff is going on all at the same time. It starts to feel a little bit maybe overwrought. I kind of feel like maybe the turrets were not even necessary, because you take so many hits by them, and I mean, for the most part, you're gonna take hits by them unless you're just super good at this. I mean, maybe if you didn't have them, the challenge would be kind of restricted to just watching out for where you're going, But yeah, I guess you also need something to take up your time more directly. See, in this case, that didn't cut. It's also kind of hard to tell where you can cut successfully, because you can't always see where those blue blocks even are. Now what happens if I were to just cut around this whole thing here? If I start here... Oh, well, I died. I'm glad the blocks stay red until you walk off of them at least, which generally helps you not fall off as much. But yeah, in general, I'm finding this is a pretty cool entry. Not really sure what I was expecting when I started this one up. I mean, I pretty much say that with every LD game, because there's not hardly any information surrounding the game's release, except for usually just like a sentence or two, if that, on the the entries part of the site. But with this one in particular, I was like, I saw the premise, I was like, I don't even know where this is going to start, or how I'm going to even play this. And I honestly didn't know until I started actually cutting stuff apart, like what that even meant. I mean, it seems fairly obvious, but at the same time, like, that convention isn't something that I would imagine to be put into this sort of a gameplay. But, it makes sense. It kind of works. Like I said, though, if I was able to just buzz around with my mouse with more precise controls, and then click to start cutting, I think I would have a much better time navigating. And I think largely that's where the frustrations that I do have with this one come from. It's just, it's a little clunky to move around in. And again, 48 hours, so I'm not being super critical about it, but, it could have been a little bit more refined in that respect. And then the fact that I'm also just kind of not playing by the rules and, like, cutting the level apart at all, I'm sure you'll probably get pretty upset about that, and I understand. I mean, I'm not really playing it to play it as much as I am playing it to critique it, so hopefully if you're a viewer of the series for a long time, you'll understand that. But I occasionally do get criticisms that are like, well, you're really bad at video games, and I won't outwardly deny that. It may be true, but at the same time, I'm also not really playing them to show off my skills at video games. I'm playing them to show off the game, and in general, talk about the game. And I don't know, if you haven't ever tried it, try playing a game and talking at the same time, especially trying to be critical and decide where you're going to go with each next preceding sentence. It's not always the easiest thing in the world. But granted, I'm not trying to make excuses here. I just wanted to explain to you why sometimes the gameplay may appear quite stilted coming from me. I'm not generally terrible at video games. If you've watched me play Super Meat Boy, at the very least, I could probably say with a small degree of confidence, I'm not awful, but, I'm not trying to brag either. I'm not great. If you've ever seen me play Dota, you'll know I'm not good at all. So it depends what I'm doing, but yeah, platformers are kind of my specialty, and I don't even know what I would classify this as. It's maybe a puzzle game in a somewhat unorthodox sense. It reminds me a lot of Edge, actually, if you're familiar with that one. At least the aesthetic does. I'm not sure if the gameplay is too much in tune with that. But still, it's a pretty cool concept, and I do like the fact that the levels seem to branch in such different ways each time. It's kind of a neat thing that you can generally keep going and not always get yourself trapped. Although, I almost just did there. Oh, I did actually do that. So apparently there is a button to hit if you just want to suicide and start over, which is probably a good idea. It's sort of like a 3D Jezzball kind of a concept, which is very interesting. I suppose I had accidentally just hit the reset button there. I'm not sure what happened. It appeared that the game had crashed, but it may have also just been that I quit out of it while Fraps was recording, and I'm not sure. Maybe it didn't know how to handle that. Regardless, no big deal. So yeah, I was going to start over anyway, and here we are. Just continue moving around, grabbing some blocks, see what we can do with that. I would have also loved to see if there were maybe some power-ups of some kind. I mean, I know we've got, several different things to pick up here. We've got, the timer blocks, we've got ammo blocks. But I kind of would have loved to see some, like, bomb blocks would have been pretty cool as well. If you could, drop a bomb in a specific spot, maybe destroy some of the anchor points, use that to loosen up chunks, or maybe just be able to drop a bomb and run away so you don't always have to cut on the edges, because I find that that is a sticking point with me for whatever reason. I don't always seem to have the ability to grab the edge without always taking another block with me or getting myself trapped in some weird spot. See, I'm not sure why that didn't fall. I get that there are more blocks there. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm stuck on it anyway. Kind of bad, though, that, like, when this happens, it doesn't automatically kill you because, I mean, granted, give it, like, 5 seconds or something, but there is nowhere for me to go and nothing I can do except to try and reset. So, I'll do that, I guess. Okay, at least if you hit escape, it doesn't actively break the game, so that's good. I guess whatever happened before was an accident. But continuing on with the gameplay of this, I kind of wonder maybe there were some other things you could have done, or the developer could have done to mix up on the aesthetic a little bit. I could have perhaps seen some varying color schemes, maybe get into different areas with different properties. I mean, granted, I don't want to get too complex here because I understand 48 hours not any amount of time to make a video game, and let alone a 3D one, and one with varying conventions like this, especially if this is actually randomly generated. But, you know, I'm just thinking potentially in the future. I always like to project ideas, what kind of things could emerge from concepts that already exist. And in this case, I feel like there's definitely some fertile ground here that could be refined in mind. And sometimes, you know, developers do like to work on and elaborate on their LD entries. I've seen it happen a number of times, and occasionally results in some pretty good work. So I always like to offer my suggestions if possible, and I will probably do that for pretty much everything I cover in this LD cycle. But yeah, one thing I would really love to see is an option to not have these turrets, even if it's just a game mode. I don't know if it's necessarily the best idea for them to be gone, but at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily the best idea for them to be there. I would trust, of course, the developer did test that quite a bit and found this to be more tasteful to his plan. So, I mean, that's fine. It's just, I'm saying from my perspective, they're pretty frustrating. I mean, they're just constantly everywhere. But, you know, then it's made up for by the fact that I really like looking at this game in general. I have a thing for this kind of aesthetic, as you probably know already. And it's just interesting. It's engaging looking. There's a lot going on. But once you break it down, I mean, it's not terribly complex either. You can really see generally what's going on pretty quickly. There's also a pretty subtle effect that I didn't notice until, you know, 5 minutes into this, where there's, if you look at the bottom, all the corners actually, not just the bottom corners, but all the top and bottom corners, there's a blur, like a smear smudge effect going on in all of them, which actually tends to push the focal point towards the front and center. Which almost results in this, I don't know if I would go this far, but like, I think the implied suggested idea here is that we're going for like almost a tilt shift effect, which makes everything look a little bit more vivid in a way. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you're familiar with that, I think that might be part of the idea. I kind of forget exactly how you create that effect. I think it has to do with aligning the depth of field and the focal point to be like right in the center of the image, and then making sure that the depth of field effect is off for the top and bottom or something like that, and it just makes everything look sort of like a miniature set for whatever reason. I'm not really sure, maybe it's an optical illusion, tricks the mind or something, but I always found those images to be very interesting. Again, I've kind of gotten off on a bit of a tangent here because that is probably not the complete intention, but it almost feels suggested to me with that effect. I would also love to see some variance on the background as well, but, you know, again, don't want to get into too much crazy stuff that I would expect done in 2 days. So you'll know, I mean, at this point, you can tell I'm not going to be going for any kind of high score, and in general, I'm not even really playing this terribly seriously. But hopefully you should be able to understand at least the gameplay concepts here. You know, cut away parts of the level, try and survive, don't get hit by turrets, avoid blocks that will link things together. And watch out for the blue blocks because they're anchors and you will not be able to cut around them. So I think that's pretty much all we need to really cover on this particular episode. I think it's a pretty cool game. I think it could definitely be elaborated upon quite a bit. And it's, you know, the first bit of coverage we've done so far, so I'm very curious to see where the minimalist theme is going to take us. And I'm sure there's going to be quite a few really excellent games buried in amongst thousands and thousands of others, which I'm not going to say are not excellent, but, you know, there are varying degrees of professionality and, well, maybe not professionality is the right word, but proficiency at game design. And it's a really cool thing to see, though, because you see people in very large swaths of different abilities and skill sets. You see people that are really great at art, maybe not so great at the idea, you know, whatever the gameplay concept is, maybe it's not fully fleshed out, but, you know, one element or the other is, and I just kind of really like seeing where that kind of thing develops. And in this case, I feel like we have a decent balance, which is, you know, always pretty admirable with this type of a competition. And I believe this is just a one-man development jam, I guess we'll say. So yeah, this is Dropblocks. Check it out if you want. Link's going to be right in the description of the video, as will all the games I cover. They're all free. So you can feel free to download them, try them yourself, and if it's something that appeals to you, feel free to throw it a vote over on the LD site as long as, you know, the judging is still going on. Actually, something that I need to get into, because I haven't actually done any of the voting myself, although I've tried to prompt a lot of people to do that. Yeah, I guess I kind of don't want to get caught up in it, because I'm going to be going through likely almost all, if not all, of the entries that go up on the site, at least glancing at them to some capacity, which it does create a pretty kind of crappy situation, because then, you know, essentially I'm going to be judging these by like one sentence and a thumbnail, which is not at all fair. I understand that. But at the same time, you know, I'm just one man. I'm not really going to be able to handle going through 2,000 plus games in the couple of days that I have to make videos of them. So hopefully you understand. But there will be plenty of other coverage amongst other YouTubers, so, you know, I would urge you, of course, check out anyone you can on this topic. I would love to see as much, you know, community being fostered amongst this competition as possible. And in general, any of these game competitions, I always enjoy the sense of community that sort of erupts out of them. So, you know, keep that sentiment going. Of course, I also forgot to mention through this entire thing, there's no sound effects or music. So if you're wondering, no, I didn't cut that or make a mistake or anything. There just is no sound or music. You know, of course, that would be a thing that would be made fully fleshed out for a real release if this was to go forward in development for whatever reason. So, you know, don't, you know, hold it too harshly. But at the same time, it's tough to judge one game versus another. If this one is what it is, but it doesn't have any sound. Another game might be comparable, but does have sound. So where do you draw that line? Especially if the reason that that person has sound in their game or music is simply because they knew somebody who already created a track, and they said, "Oh, well, you can use our track." I don't know. It's a complicated little issue. Ideally, maybe they would say that all entries should have, you know, prerequisite certain level of elements to them. I don't even know what the right way to describe this is, but like ideally they should have, you know, gameplay, graphics, sound, potentially music. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's hard to judge them against each other when they don't all have the same base level. I mean, you wouldn't ever really buy a game at retail and be like, oh, well, this game just doesn't have sound. So it's kind of tough to say, well, this one's better than this one simply because it has sound, but at the same time, the strength of the gameplay should stand on its own. And if the gameplay was allowed to, or if the developer was allowed to continue to iterate on this process, I'm sure sound would eventually become a thing. As you can tell, it's a bit of a conundrum, and I'm not really sure how to work that out. There's a lot of loose ends when it comes to things like this, and I try not to question them too much and just take things generally pretty much at face value, because if I try to get into the concepts of fairness when it comes to judging these types of things, it's not going to end well. There just simply can't be fairness in this type of an element. So I'm just going to give my opinion, and that's why, if you've ever wondered why I don't give numbers to my game reviews, and I wouldn't call them reviews either, I would call them impressions videos, because I never, well, hardly ever beat the game in question, so I don't feel qualified to summarize the, you know, complete concept of what was discussed here in this game. It is just what I got to see in the video, my impressions, and moving on, and you can take that for what it is, but I wouldn't be the type of guy that says, oh, well, I played the first 20 minutes of this game, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Could be better. No, I didn't play the whole thing. I'm not qualified to make that kind of a judgment. In the case where I do play the whole thing, maybe, but still, I just don't really feel like it's that worthwhile anyway, because I think the concept of reviewing something in a larger scale, not the concept of doing a review, but just talking about something in general, I think really the emphasis should be on the content of what you're saying, not on the summary of it. I just find that just, not to be lazy, but like, it seems to avoid most of the main heart of what it is you want to discuss, which is the concepts and the content in the actual discussion, not, you know, the end-all be-all element. Anyway, I'm getting rambly here, so I think I will wrap this up. Like I said, links in the description. Go download it, give it a shot if you'd like. Indie-impressions.com for my website if you want to check out all the old videos in the series. They're all neatly sorted and categorized. There will be a LD category and tag. This will be in it, so if you want to sort through all the things that will be discussed in this particular entry, feel free to go click on that in the tags when you're browsing through Indie Impressions. Aside from that, facebook.com/indieimpressions for the Facebook site. Leave a like on that if you choose. You'll get every day's new update delivered into your Facebook feed, as well as news updates and occasional contests and game giveaways. Lastly, if you're an indie dev, you want to get your game possibly on the show, feel free to send me a tweet at @RockLeeSmile or an email on the contact form at the website. And all my social media links are in the description, as well as the download link for the, fourth time that I've said that now. So yeah, hope to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. and I will be back again tomorrow for another video. Most likely I will be doing consecutive LD coverage. If I interrupt it with a separate game that is not to do with that, forgive me. There are a lot of other factors at play right now in the background. Honestly, my list of games is very convoluted at the moment, and I do apologize if you're a developer and have emailed me recently, even about LD coverage. I'm going at it in a slightly different way this time. I will still try to get to everything I can, but it's going to be a little bit of a roundabout way, so just stick with me. Hopefully everything works out in the end, and thank you as always for your support. So I'll see you back again tomorrow. Have a lovely night, and I'll talk to you then.